Welcome back to another video, ladies and gentlemen. In this video, we're going over n8n part 4. This is the final part. Now, at the end of this video, I'm going to show you a insane, like everything that we've taught you about n8n doesn't really matter except for the sense of understanding it, because what I'm going to show you at the end of this video is how to build any workflow with a single prompt. One prompt. I'm talking anything. Type it in, hit enter, copy paste into the n8n canvas, and then obviously just connect your software, your tools, or your API keys, whatever. So this is really, and the other 3 parts of this, if you haven't watched those, go watch those right now. This is very good comprehensive education on n8n and really building workflows and some agentic style AI. So let's jump right in. So what is the biggest difference here between an LLM, which is what you think of when you hear AI, versus like an AI agent? Now, this word gets thrown around a lot. Most things that are called agents are not true agents, okay? Just because you have a software doesn't make it an agent. An agent is a pretty autonomous, independent AI function. That's what I'm going to define it as, okay? Obviously, we know what LLMs are. But an agent, especially the nodes inside of n8n, is more like having a virtual assistant that uses other tools. So whereas an LLM is the tool, the agent is the thing using the tool. So that could be an LLM, it could be Slack, it could be like a million different things, okay? So with an OpenAI node, for example, you can ask it, how should I respond to this potential email? And then the brain is going to think with the LLM. And then if the agent needs to route to the email, the software like Gmail or whatever you're using, it will then do that. So think of it as LLM, engine, brain. Agent is race car driver. They're the one using the vehicle, using the tool, making things happen, okay? So a normal node, remember, we're getting really granular here. So nodes are going to be input, ChatGPT, output, or whatever you want to use LLM-wise. An agent is going to be input, AI agent, using different tools, as well as saving memory of that tool. So it has like a past history of things that has happened, and then output what it has done. So this is basically just putting a brain into a workflow. That's the easiest way to kind of wrap your head around it. And so there's 4 components to this that you guys need to know for our use cases here. So 1, you have the chat model, 2 are the tools, 3 is the memory, and then 4 is your output parser. And don't let like nerdy words confuse you guys. I'm gonna keep it super simple like usual. So your chat model is the LLM that you're gonna use to process whatever you're trying to do with that workflow. It can be anything. I don't care what you use. Use what is most optimal to you, and make sure you understand what all of these different models do. There's videos on this channel you can go watch to learn that. Now, the tools are you giving your agent, in this sense, actual tools to use. And this is where we get into really, really cool stuff, is I can give my agent that I'm making an LLM brain, let's say just ChatGPT, and then I can give it access to all these tools, and then I can build this workflow and tell it, hey, do this. And it will think and process step by step. What's the best way to do this? Okay, what tools do I need? What tools do I have access to? Okay, do it. Here's the output. And then it will learn from that if you set it up properly with memory being looped back in context. So let's talk about memory. It's something I don't see a lot of people talk about when it comes to these. So if you tell it that your name is XYZ, and then the next prompt you ask it your name, it won't remember, okay? This is a workflow. Think of it like Zapier. So we have to add a memory step. You have to add some step or some part of this where it's caching actual information that has happened through this workflow. Like guys, Zapier doesn't remember anything. It doesn't have a brain. It's just an automation. It's just a workflow. And so what we need to do, if you want it to have memory, if whatever you're building is dependent upon that, you want to add this window buffer memory here. And I'm just going to breeze through this for you guys. So output, what is the output parser? This is not like that important, and it gets turned off by default. But I just want to cover it anyway because we're trying to be pretty comprehensive here. You can turn it on if you guys go inside your AI agent node and you turn on require specific output format. Now, this is basically going to structure your output of whatever the output is of this workflow. Again, this can be anything in a specific way rather than the default way that the Open or ChatGPT or LLM is going to output it as. So let's say I'm building a workflow that actually creates prompts, but I want those prompts formatted like a context profile in this like JSON or XML or Markdown structure. Then I would obviously want to change the output parser to be like, hey, I want this output to be in this format specifically, right? Not just give me the output. Very, very important. So that's step one. Now step two. This is where we're going to get into the sauce. So there's two kinds of prompts for agents. The whole point of using n8n is to start to build agentic stuff. So it actually thinks. It has a brain. It's independent of you clicking a button every time, right? Like this lizard meme that's going around everywhere. So you have the user prompt, which is the actual task or the question that you give to the AI each time you interact with it. So things like book me a meeting tomorrow, or write a reply to this email, or calculate my monthly expenses. That's different than the system prompt, which stays the same and tells AI how to respond. So this is instructions from you. System prompt is more instructions to the computer of the workflow saying, hey, the workflow should run like this, do it this way. Okay, they're called prompts. Everything's called a prompt, but very different. And you need to be able to differentiate between the two here. And so in the system prompt, this is the instruction manual that you give your agent, and it stays the same across all conversations. This is like the base instructions for a project in Claude or something, okay? And so it tells the AI who it is, how it should behave, and what rules to follow. And while the user prompt changes every time, like, hey, do this, hey, do that, now do this, this stays the same. These are basically the rubric. This is like the Bible for the AI to follow, okay? So how do you properly structure a system prompt? Not the user prompt, but the system prompt. Very important for your output to actually be what you want it to be. So there's 5 sections to this. Now, if you'll notice from our previous videos on this channel, we use this a lot. Like this is the whole context engineering thing that we use to get really, really crazy output. So the role, who is the AI? So you are a world-class copywriter. Remember, we tell the AI who it is. Instructions, very detailed, obviously what I want. Rules, do not do this, do not do that, right? The negatives actually help tailor the prompt towards where you want it to go. Examples, showing good outputs. And then context, which is going to be whatever information you need to give it. So whether this is like data or other ad examples or whatever this is actual like context you're giving it, both visual and just text-based. So the role, I'm going to breeze through this because we've mentioned this 80 times on this channel. The role is who it is. The instructions give it a pretty good like understanding of what you want it to do. So like first ask for the customer's order, and then check status, and then provide an update, right? Pretty simple. Rules, these are absolute boundaries. These can be negatives or these can be positives. So like make it like this or do not make it like this. Like never process refunds over $500 without my approval, or always use friendly tone, right? Examples and then context. And so for example, you want to structure this as usual with JSON just to keep things clean. Again, you can just write all this out, throw it into GPT and be like, hey, structure this in JSON. And so brackets, £, role, rules, etc., okay? Very easy, very, very easy, not hard to understand. Now, let's get into examples of actual agents. And I'm going to use the word agent lightly because everyone and their mom calls everything an agent right now. Your Zapier automation is not an agent, okay? Your agent is something that is an agent. Like it's an independent thinking thing hooked up to an LLM with tools at its disposal. That's an agent. So here's a personal assistant. This is a big... I don't think this is that helpful, to be quite honest with you. However, I'm just going to show you for sake of example. Take the input from Telegram. So Telegram is your interface to talk with it. So you can send a message to X channel, and then X happens in the workflow. Uses the AI agent to do simple tasks for you, like update your calendar. Obviously, the tool it needs access to is going to be your calendar, right? Read, write, do emails, things like that. What tool does it need? Google Doc. It needs an LLM. Create and update Google Docs, obviously attach it to there. Write research-heavy content, make Google searches, connect it to your browser, right? So now you're starting to think, finally, in this culmination of the 4th video in the series, now we've got a real agent. We've got a trigger. We've got the agent itself, which has access to all of these tools and LLMs as well as memory. And then we have an output message or a result message, which it'll send to you. And so here's how this actually works, right? So you're going to take the request from Telegram, and I'm saying you as in the AI, analyze the request using Gemini, whatever, LLM, sees which task it needs to perform, and it does critical thinking, and then it sends information about that task to the relevant child agent. Now, what the fuck is that? Well, I'm going to show you in a minute. So for example, anything related to content, it sends to the content agent, right? And then anything related to email, it sends to the email agent, and so on. So the child agent executes the task that you requested and sends back the info to the parent agent. Now, this is really important, and I'm going to break this down in a second. But the reason this is an actual agent is this all happens without you manually having to click a button or do oversight, especially when you host it on a browser or in the cloud, and it's not on your device. It can run 24/7. So what is a child agent? This is very important. A child agent is basically the specialized sub-agent, or think of it like those Russian doll eggs, okay? So you have the big one. So here's the overall agent, and then here's the content agent, the email agent, the browser agent, the fucking whatever, Slack agent. Within these, it's just connected to the parent. So when I talk to the parent, it can go use all these different tools. That's as simple as it is, okay? So here's a structure example is like your main agent is like, hey, I can help with sales support or billing questions. So then obviously the children would be sales, technical support, billing, right? You get what I'm saying? And so you can call or use the call n8n workflow tool to connect child agents. And so the parent decides which child to call based on the user's request and then hands it off to the specialist there. Now I know that might sound a little confusing. So here are pretty pictures like Dr. Seuss. So here is an agent with no children. It's just connected to a bunch of tools. How does it know which tool to use at this point? This is where things get broken, and it's not a true autonomous agentic agent, because it's like, I don't know what to do. I have all these tools. I have no idea. Then this is when we structure it with children. So each one of these children looks like this. Each one has tools, but it's a clearly defined, and you can give it specific instructions for that particular agent. Okay, I don't want to confuse you. So just think of it as this hierarchical structure. We have parent, children. Each child has tools at his disposal. Very easy to understand. And this is where you get into really, really cool stuff. So how does this look inside of n8n? It looks like this. This is the trigger when executed by another workflow, because this is the child. Email agent, all the email tools to its disposal, success, and then you can trigger it to do whatever you want. And then so this is one of these right here. This is this. And then within one AI agent, if you want to build like a pretty comprehensive one, it has access to all these children. Children have access to all the tools and specialized knowledge, etc., context. So do you have to build these every time? This seems like a lot of work. No. So a lot of times you can get away with just one singular agent if you have less tools connected. So if I have like 3 tools connected, I can just do it with one agent. I don't need the children parent substructure. But when I have a lot of tools, a lot of complexity, a lot of stuff flying around, I need to use context engineering. I need to use the profiles. I need to use instructions. I need to use children and structure everything in JSON. That way things don't get lost in translation and kind of like just forgotten. So now, like I said, I'm going to show you how to one-shot any workflow. This is like the cool stuff. This is why I tell you guys, do not build an AI automation agency. Do not really offer this as a main service, because I and all of my students inside of AI Insiders can one-shot your entire business. And I'm going to show you. So here's some examples of some agents that are very helpful. So like a web scraping agent. This is what this would look like. You can screenshot this. I'm not going to read through everything here. Basically, this scrapes the web for certain things. Okay. AI research. Screenshot this one. AI sales agent. You can screenshot this one. This doesn't work that well yet. The tech is getting evolved to where this will be really good soon. But right now, it's not that amazing. This is a good one. AI YouTube analytics agent. So you're going to pick up the ID, which obviously there's going to be another workflow to get the ID. If then limit this, set video details, and then you're doing all this nonsense. Again, this is like the weeds stuff that I'm not going to bore you with. So the bottom line is, you can do anything with this stuff, really. Like Zapier was pretty cool in itself. n8n is Zapier with an LLM thrown on top of it. It's pretty freaking cool. But the thing is that you guys need to understand, like with everything, this is the boring stuff that like you can automate your whole business with this if you learn. This isn't like n8n templates and nonsense. You need to know how it works, okay? And so here's a good tip when you're building agents in n8n. Always use everything that we teach in honestly all these videos, okay? We want to do JSON. We want to do proper context engineering. We want to give it proper context. We want to have fail safes and like default to this. If this doesn't work, do this, alert me here. All that sort of common sense stuff. Now, I'm going to show you really fast an example. So I have my blank canvas set up in n8n. So here I'm in Claude. Now, I'm not giving you these instructions because I had to sit and play with this for like 10 hours to get this instruction set to work. And I have these two files. You can see 2,600 lines and 2,300 lines that I give to our AI Insider students. So this is the kind of stuff that we're doing inside this program, guys, by the way. I don't talk about it that much. I don't want this whole channel to be like, hey, buy my stuff. However, I really don't think anyone is doing as elite AI stuff as we are right now inside of this community. And we got guys making like $30,000 to $100,000 a month profit from this. Okay, so I'm not going to give you the prompt because people pay for this. However, I'm going to show you. Because of these instructions and because of the context profiles, look, JSON, I'm doing everything I tell you guys to do. Watch what I can do. So build a workflow that updates my Slack and CRM each time a sale comes in from Stripe. I want to be able to copy, paste it into n8n. Watch this. I click enter. Now it's searching the project. And so we have some crazy, crazy shit in that context that this Claude like project has. And so watch what I'm about to be able to do. I'm going to blow your mind. So it's doing its thing. It's writing out all of this stuff. So obviously it's going to create the nodes and it's going to create like all the hooks and triggers and everything. All I would have to do is connect my Slack, connect my Stripe, connect my CRM. And so this is going to finish building here. Okay, so what I should be able to do now is copy this. And so it's going to tell me how to use this even. So we actually, in these instructions, not only does it give me a copy paste, but it actually will literally tell me how to connect everything. So I basically built the instructions in such a way that it's like, hey, give me the copy paste and then explain how it works if I get lost. So I'm just going to click copy here. I'm going to go here. Now watch. That's pretty cool. Now, I didn't define what my CRM is. We would be using Close. I don't use HubSpot or Salesforce, but Stripe webhook. So Stripe payment comes in. All you can do is integrate Stripe, okay? It's easy. Filter completed sales. Was this a new sale or was it a current sale? Update, format the sales data properly. Send Slack message, update CRM, update CRM. One shot. That's it. So let me hit Command Z. Let's do another one. What is the most complex thing that I could build? Best of your ability. Okay, that's pretty complex. And I left it vague for a reason because I wanted to do really complex example here for you. So we'll copy paste this one as well. So now it's searching. Again, I gave it, like, guys, I'm not exaggerating. We have scraped every n8n module content on the web so that not only does this Claude project have all of the knowledge of how n8n works, but it also has all this crazy little ninja MacGyver stuff that we did, plus context profile, plus instructions, plus everything else that it needs to be able to think, ideate, test, validate that it works, and then give it to me in a copy-paste format that works every time. I can literally copy-paste, and then it actually tells me how this thing works. Again, I just give this stuff away for free. Well, it's not for free, but we give this away inside of AI Insiders. It's crazy stuff. Like, this is real in the trenches, using AI, building crazy stuff. We do a lot of stuff in Kendo like this. So yeah, if you want to check that out while we're waiting, link in the description, click it. I don't even have a VSL yet. But if you are in any sort of online business and you want to make money with AI, there is no better program for you to join. So let's wait here while this loads and see what we get. Uh-oh, look what we got. Just like the last video that we posted talking about managing context windows, I just hit the context limit. And so this is hard, though, to do what we showed in the last video because there's so much stuff here. So let's see if this will do it in one shot now since I hit that limit. It's complex. There's a lot of data being thrown around here. So the LLM is using a lot of tokens to achieve this because we have it not only giving it to us, but validating and kind of backtesting itself in the process. That way I get a copy-paste version rather than like messing around with it 8 times. So let's click this one. Let's see if it works. So copy, paste. Oh, it might not have worked. Let's see here. Ah, okay, this one's complex. This is a multi-step, so I might have to do this in multiple steps. I don't want to do it in multiple steps. I want to steps. Let's see if that fixes it. And it's still going. So this is like I said, it's a pretty complex workflow that I'm trying to build here. And so you can see it's still writing. Okay, let's see. It should maybe work now. Aha, look at that. Wow, crazy. One shot, copy paste. So there's gonna be some sort of a trigger here to generate ideas. I would obviously hook this up to an LLM with instructions. I'd probably use Claude, or maybe ideas, GPT, but write in Claude. And then it's going to create content folders, create the docs, send the notification so that we have it. It's going to filter everything, save the metadata. It's going to do basically everything. One shot, boom. Okay, so anyway, there's the proof in the pudding of how insane this can be. Now, let's finish this up. Important concepts that you guys should know about before you go do this. So what is RAG? RAG retrieval. So there's this thing that I learned this year called a vector database. It's basically taking lots of data and parsing it in a very easy to retrieve way that isn't 50,000 gigabytes, okay? So we do this for Kendo with all of our prompts and the data that we have, but you can do this as well. It's called RAG retrieval. And so this basically works by creating a vector database with an AI agent to enhance the LLM's ability to answer questions based on provided documents. That is basically what this workflow project that I have is doing, except for in a non-organized, formatted way. It's doing this concept, I just don't have it formatted like that for myself. And so what you want to do is set this up so that when you ask it something, it knows everything about your business. You're basically just giving it all your data. And so that's a really helpful thing. Multimodal agents is also super helpful. This is like the rudimentary level of how Kendo works. Input, then you're going to have these multi-model agents, for lack of a better word. So what makes these special? Instead of describing a problem with words, you can show them a photo or a broken product, or like maybe you guys know that Cal AI app that looks at food. This is kind of how that works. So it can recognize different formats rather than just text. And so it can do voice, image, video, and then that way your input can be any of these three things. Then it's going to format it, talk to the agent, and start this whole flow of what we showed in this video. That's also super helpful. And then here's a vector database. So this is storing, managing really complex data in an easy to do way. So when you upload a document about customer refunds, it becomes something like this for 1,000 numbers rather than like files and all this nonsense. It's basically like binary code for retrieval of data. That's the easiest way to explain it for you guys. And so why does this matter? Like, why do we need this nerdy shit? Well, regular databases get really large and then they get lost and they get expensive and then you don't get things done correctly. So we want to obviously format things in the best ability that we can. So imagine that this is like a library where all the books are organized rather than not being organized, but they're organized with like code and numbers. So that like all the books in this example here, all the books about similar concepts will sit near each other, and then completely different books are going to be in the other part of the library, if you want an easy way to visualize this. And then finally, we have embeddings here. So these are numerical representations of data, like text, images, or audio that capture the meaning and relationships within that data. So in simple terms, this is how AI converts human language into numbers that computers can better understand and compare. They're invisible, but this is when you get into really high level stuff, guys, of like the RAG retrieval, vector databases, and this like smart recommendation stuff. So every piece of text gets converted into a really, really long list of numbers that captures the meaning and the context. So I want you to understand like how computers work in the first way. If I take a picture of like this hat, okay, and I feed it to an LLM, it will organize this based on numbers because our world is basically made up of math. And so like the color is one number, the structure is one number, the style is one number, the logo is one number, the background of the hat, what's back here is one number. And there's only a certain amount and combination of numbers. And so AI and these LLMs organize things in that way. So like an apple is actually a big long string of code. An apple that's red is a long string of code, right? And that's where we get into you being able to organize these things. Now, the cool thing is I don't got to know how to do all this. I just got to ask AI to do it for me, and then I'm using it. So you just need to know why you want to use it, not really how to set it up, unless you're building real software. And then finally, I think this is finally, yeah. Finally, we have MCP. This is Model Context Protocol. This is basically the new API standard. So API, like a actual API, like Slack API or Kendo API, that has been the standard for software for the last like 20, 30 years, whatever. MCP is the updated version of that for AI and for LLMs to communicate. And so instead of every AI platform needing custom code to connect everything, MCP is like the new version of API that is a standard protocol that everyone builds upon for how to connect all these things. Very simple to understand. So right now, connecting AI to business tools is like needing a different charging cable for every device. You want your AI to work with 10 apps, that's 10 separate integrations that you have to build and maintain. If you use MCP, which again, just ask AI to set this up for you, it makes it plug and play. And once an app supports MCP, any AI can openly use it. And that's when you get into the true agentic stuff where it can use a browser, it can use all these things. So you have your MCP host, ask AI how to do this, MCP servers, database 1, database 2, remote database, web API. This is really nerdy stuff. I know that you're probably hearing this and like, what the fuck is going over my head? Again, all you need to know is why and how, and then the AI does the rest for you. So anyway, that is n8n part 4. This is the final part in this 4-part series. If you haven't watched all the other 3 videos, make sure you watch them. This will give you a really, really like top 1% understanding of not just n8n as a tool, but like how to build workflows, what agentic thinking is, how to use AI the right way. And if you guys go watch all these videos and you actually learn this stuff, bro, you can build anything. The limit is like literally your imagination. And it's the coolest thing ever. And this is what's going to separate the people that use this and make a lot of money from the people that don't. And we do a lot of this on the back end of Kendo. So we've learned this firsthand, like literally all of this I've had to figure out ourselves. So anyway, thank you guys. Make sure you like, comment, let me know what you want to see on the next video, and I'll see you on the next one.